Hello, good morning. Now, I have talked about semi-legal text, which is an article published in the Magistrate magazine. Now, I wanted really to give you a kind of a summary of all these points that I have raised in that particular series of 3 videos about assessing the Arabic translation of a legal text or an article, which is semi-legal because it's not really fully legal because of the fact that it's published in, it's not a legal document. Now, one of the main points that I have raised is first is the absolute object in Arabic, which is تؤثر تأثيرا أساسيا. I'm just going to raise them, make them as points here, and then I will explain only one particular paragraph in particular, which is the first one, just to give you an idea of what kind of way I would look for or do when I'm translating from English into Arabic. So, absolute object, which is al-maf'ul mutlaq, which is in my book, the chapter that the book that I published in 2013, which is called Arabic English Syntax in Translation, published by Arachne. Not Arachne, actually. It was published by, yes, it was Arachne in Rome. So the absolute object, تؤثر تأثيرا أساسيا. This is one particular example. Another one, تختلف طبيعتها اختلافا تاما. These are the 2 particular examples for the actual absolute object. Secondly, nominal sentences in English can be translated into Arabic better as verbal sentences. As in, I will come when there is a sentence in English, like for example, the garden is beautiful, you can say تتمتع الحديقة بالجمال. A third point which I want to raise is about making a decision by the court, or any court. We would say إصدار حكما. إصدار حكم. So this is because the word decision by court is not really a resolution, as we say قرار, or decision قرار, which is a normal, but in context it is حكم. Also, we have to be careful when we are looking at legal texts, because legal texts, they have the language, the English language, or the Arabic language for that matter, and then on top of that, another layer, which is the terminology and the knowledge in legal systems. Legal system in English and legal system in Arabic. And that's what you need to know, both legal systems, in order to be able to produce a good target text. A third thing, which is about the word expressly, بشكل واضح وصريح. And this is used in when we have one word in English or one adverb in English, and they are one adverb, and it's translated in 3 words, which is called in translation studies one-to-many equivalence or correspondence. KD has actually talked about it, and others, Catherine Rees and so on. Then we have the next one, which is about the noun. When the noun is unknown in English, we say, for example, which, when it is used. When it is unknown in English, you use which or that, for example, when you are opening a close. Whereas in Arabic, the unknown, or nakira, you don't take which, you don't use which in Arabic. I'll give you an example, which is actually, like for example, المعلومات التي أعرفها عنك This is a known information. When the noun is known, المعلومات التي أعرفها عنك هي أنك بحار ومغامر. The information I know about you is that you are both a sailor and an adventurer. So when the noun is defined, i.e. known, with the information I know about you is that you are both a sailor and an adventurer. We see that in English we use which, but in Arabic we don't. So that is one thing. Whereas if, as I said earlier, when the noun is unknown, in English we use which, but in Arabic we don't. Example: معلومة أعرفها عنك هي أنك بحار. معلومة أعرفها عنك هي أنك بحار. A piece of information which I know about you is that you are a sailor. You see, which I know about you. But in English you say which I know about you. In Arabic you don't use that. You say معلومة أعرفها عنك هي أنك بحار. So this is one element. In terms of the defendant and the let's say the claimant and the respondent, as in the case of divorce case, claimant and respondent does not mean محامي يعني المدعي والمدعى عليه، لأن هنا both are one is claiming some claimant put forward the actual رفع الدعوة القضائية أو رفع دعوة الطلاق، دعوة الطلاق، رافع دعوة الطلاق. وهناك أيضا respondent اللي هو الشخص الذي يرد على هذه الدعوة، وهو يعني المدعى عليه، لكن لا أظن أنها المدعى عليه، يعني هو المدعى والمدعى عليه بالعربي، لكن بالإنجليزي claimant and respondent. Whereas if there's a crime, then it is the accused, as in the case of that, and or the defendant in theft. So this is something that is in the actual text again, which if you go back to it. The more interesting thing in Arabic is that the accused is innocent till proven guilty. That is the English, but in Arabic it's just the opposite. Al-muttaham mudan is the accused is guilty till proven innocent, which is completely different kind of way of thinking. So in the legal system, or in the English, you say that said. Also, there are in the terminology that you use in English. In the legal system, you have the word the said list, meaning the said list means هذه اللائحة المذكورة, or such list, also اللائحة المذكورة. Also, I mentioned in my videos about the word here, and here in that text that I have actually discussed, there is you don't use here. You say herein, hereby, thereby. Thereby is for documents that are attached, but hereby means this document. So this is another thing related to English language texts. Also, the present case, you don't say this case in English. يعني القضية الحالية. Now, when we move on to analyzing the texts themselves, I wanted to say something, and I wanted to show you this. I mean, maybe it's a good idea to see if I can put this in. I suppose you can always go for the first paragraph in the text. Go back to the first video, because this is a comment really on the whole of the text and on the first paragraph. It is one of the most important pieces of information needed by the court when making any decision, almost any decision, other than guilt or innocence is the list of previous convictions recorded against the accused person. This is partly on the basis that the best predictor of what an individual will do in the future is what he has done in the past. Now, what do I do here? I look at the verbs first. First, before I look at the verbs, I look at how many sentences. If you look at the first video, you would see there are 2 sentences. In the 2 sentences, this is the first thing you do. In the paragraph, how many sentences? 2 sentences. In the first sentence, how many, this is what you need to learn, how many clauses are there in the first sentence? How do you define clauses? Which is subject, verb, object, or subject and verb. And how do you find a sentence? Subject, verb, object, or subject, verb, and the rest of the sentence. Now, in the first sentence, which is one of the most important pieces of information needed by the court, I mean here, how many verbs are used, though not necessarily as the main verb of the sentence. The main verb of the sentence is the word is. So that is the case. And I'm just going to actually now see if I can put the video and then discuss it while showing you what it says here. So if you look at it here, okay, and I'm just looking at the English here. I wanted to look at the English and see if I can get the English to do that. It's a bit difficult because it's too high. Let me just adjust it, and then I'm just going to show you how it is done. It looks like this is the one that you need to look at. Okay, this is the video. And as you can see, in this one here, it's the one that you need to go in the video and analyze it with me. But I'm just going to say to you that first, you have the main verb, which is the is. Then there are other verbs, like, for example, needed, making, and recorded. That's, of course, the word the accused. So there's needed, making, is, recorded. 4 verbs in the first sentence. Now, not all of them are verbs. Not all of them are verbs. Some of them are acting as an adjective, like, for example, the accused person. Accused is not a verb. It is acting as al-muttaham, describing the person as being accused. And there's also needed by the court, which is needed by a court, which is needed by the court. As I said here, one of the most important pieces of information needed by court, which is needed by court. But of course, in the English, it says needed by court. But in Arabic, you say التي تحتاجها المحكمة. من أهم المعلومات التي تحتاجها المحكمة. So one of the most important pieces of information needed by the court, من أهم المعلومات التي تحتاجها المحكمة, when making, the word making here is not a verb, is a noun or gerund. That's why you can use عند إصدارها when making. عند إصدارها أي حكم من أحكامها تقريبا. When making almost any decision other than تقريبا عند إصدارها أي حكم من أحكامها تقريبا بحق شخص معين, we have to say, or we can say بحق شخص معين أو بحق المتهم if you want. Okay, بحق شخص معين other than guilt or innocence, بإدانته أو تبرئته, عند إصداره بإدانته أو تبرئته. هي is the main verb. هي قائمة السوابق التي تم تسجيلها بحقه. Recorded, تم تسجيلها. So you say the list of previous convictions recorded, which are recorded, or which is recorded, which for the list which is recorded against the accused person. Then the second sentence, I'm just sort of here trying to explain in detail the sentence, the second sentence, or the first paragraph and the second sentence. The second sentence, it says, this is partly on the basis that the best predictor of what an individual will do in the future is what he has done in the past. How many verbs? First, we look at, it's one sentence, and this sentence, that is one sentence, has got is as a verb, will do is another, do, has done or another, and is. So there are two ises, there is will do and has done. All of them are verbs. Of course, will do, the main verb is do, and has done, the main verb is done or do. So two ises and two do's. And there's also the word this. This is partly. So the word this, it has to be translated as not, because it's not, as I said, it's semi-legal text. That's why they use this, but in official legal texts, you never use the word this. You say such information, or such piece of information. So تستند هذه المعلومة. So I've translated the first before I move on to that. So there's is and do and is and do. Which one is the main verb of the sentence? And how many clauses are there? Of course, there are there are 4 clauses in this particular sentence. This is partly on the basis, I would advise you to go back to my first video of this, assessing the Arabic translation of a legal text or article, so that you understand what I'm talking about here more clearly. I will try to post it as on this video as one as a shot at the beginning of the video, so that you can tell what I'm talking about. So this is partly on the basis that the best predictor of an individual will do in the future is what he has done in the past. So we have how many clauses? We have one main clause, which is this is on the part basis. And we have another clause which starts with the best predictor of, up to the word is, up to the end. And then we have an individual will do in the future. This is a third clause. He has done in the past. What he has done in the past is another clause. How do I translate? I go to this is. The word is the main verb. This is. So because it's an is, as I said, nominal sentences are to be translated in a verbal sentence in Arabic. So that's why I would say تستند. This is partly on the basis. تستند means it relies on. هذه المعلومة المهمة. This important piece of information. Partly, جزئيا. إلى أن, and we start a new clause. This is the secondary clause, the first secondary clause. And within the first secondary clause, there are 2 clauses. إلى أن أفضل تخمين لما سيقدم على فعله في المستقبل هو ما قد فعله في السابق. I hope that you have learned from this particular video, which clarifies all the points that I've discussed in bullet points absolute object, terminology, nominal sentence into a verbal sentence in Arabic, translated. And also when you have a noun which is not defined, unknown noun, in English you use which, in Arabic you don't. When the noun is defined, in English you don't use which, but in Arabic you do. And then of course the terminology, which I talked about, and hereby and thereby. And that will be really helpful. I hope that will be very helpful to understand how you need to deal with any paragraph when you are translating it, by dividing it into, by knowing first, pointing out what's the main verb of the sentence, how many clauses, and then you focus on the main main clause in that sentence when you are translating. I'm talking about it from a structural point of view to help. Of course, it's not really just only linguistic, structural or linguistic analysis, but you need to do other cultural analysis when it comes to the claimant and respondent, or the accused or the defendant, as in the case here. And of course, the word this will be replaced by this important piece of information. Have a nice day.